Okay. All right, guys. Sorry for the delay. Let me get the headset working. Let's get going here. All right. Last night's session in the U.S. pretty solid. We drifted lower in the beginning and tried to test the downside, which we kind of always knew we would. You know, every time you've had really hard movements like that, you know, to one direction. You know, the market, even though, you know, we open up a little bit higher on the session, you usually always go and test that same direction because the market needs to prove itself before it can actually go higher. You know, so yesterday's action there was actually totally classic. You know, we did test a flat line. We tested slightly negative. There wasn't enough selling pressure there. Obviously, the market's reversed and reversed higher. I think markets were a bit calmer. You know, there's a little bit of calmness came to the situation in Gaza yesterday. A little bit calmer in Europe because of the Banco Espírito Santo's bailout by the Portuguese government, and and then we had some earnings that came out which are relatively solid, being Berkshire Hathaway being the biggest. Obviously, it came out much better than expected, and so the market really rallied on the back of a little bit of relief, and maybe it's we've put in a short-term bottom, and maybe it's just a bit of a dead cat bounce. We'll have to see how it plays out. In Asia overnight, there was very little follow-through from the States. In fact, we actually we underperformed quite badly, and I think it was led mostly by Chinese PMI numbers. For the first day in about a week that we've seen the Shanghai Composite actually pull back in the session. The PMI numbers came in at 50, and June was at 53, so it was the slowest pace of growth in terms of PMI in 9 years, which is really poor, obviously. So got markets there a little bit worried. We saw across the European session just really lag, or sorry, across the Asian session just really lag, probably on the back of that number more than anything, and also probably, you know, the even though we got a balance in the States, people probably still a little bit unconvinced, maybe still worried about where we've moved to in the technical picture as of recently. All right. This morning we had Nedbank that came out with first half numbers. We've got headline earnings per share came out 9.65. Bloomberg expectations were at 9.25. That revenue number, I thought the revenue number was also a beat. I could be wrong. And divvy per share looks like it came out more or less in line. But bottom line is I do think that these are a better set of numbers than the market was expecting out of Nedbank. We'll have to see how it plays out going forward. But markets, the banking shares have just been trading incredibly well, so I'm probably expecting a lot of this type of result. All right, we've got CVS and Walt Disney out today in the States, so not a whole lot to pay attention to in terms of earnings there. Like we said earlier, we had these PMI numbers out of China. We also had PMI numbers out of Japan as well, which came in better than expected. We've got HSBC South Africa PMI numbers that come out here at 9.15. The prior number was at 49.5, so look out for those. We've also got those numbers, the PMI services numbers, coming out across the globe for the most part. So just watch out everywhere in Europe, in the UK, and the States. We've also got retail sales in Europe at 11, and then we've got ISM non-manufacturing and factory orders in the States as well. All right, let's get into the maps. All right, first thing we'll have a look at here is we'll look at the ALSI, look at a 30-minute chart here, and you can really see very clearly. I'm just going to shorten this up a little bit so that we get some nice candles. There we go. And this, to me, this is pretty clearly defined. You can see the real level that we dropped out from right here around the 46,200 level. I mean, you can draw it at an angle if you'd like, and maybe that's the way we should be doing this. But either way, you can see where we've broken down from, So, potentially us filling the gap here, which we really have filled the gap, sorry, not filled the gap from where we broke down, but filling the actual gap. Here is at 46,117. We traded up to about that just a little while ago, and that might be an area that we actually start to push down from, but I wouldn't really expect us to be able to push up through resistance here and where we drop down from without something convincing behind it. So just keep that in mind. I think if we get up to around, if we can't get above 46,100, then I think that maybe we just kind of fill the gap this morning and we can turn lower. If we do get up a little bit higher, we could probably trade up as high as 46,200, 46,300 before we definitely probably look for at least some sort of pullback off of the first test of those levels. All right, we'll look at Naspers. Naspers had a huge day yesterday on the back of not a big move out of Tencent, no real specific news there, and you can see, I can't get a line, give me a line. You can see here that we've broken out beautifully there. It finally really outperformed Tencent. I think if we look at this, we can look at this a couple ways. You can look at that as being a bit of a rounded reversal. You can look at this as being a little descending triangle here. If you look at it this way, the target's going to show us closer to $1,400. If you take that out and you just kind of look for the height of this channel to move to the upside, we're probably looking at about 14 and a quarter. Those are short-term targets. The larger targets, I think, can be as much as about 1,700, something along those lines. We're looking about $350 to the upside here on the breakout. So I mean, you can look at it that way if you want. Either way, how did I get this in here? These are supposed to be up here. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Either way, you can see that we made a real breakout here in Naspers, and we've got a significantly higher target potentially to come on the back of this. All right, let's look at Foschini Group. We talked about this one yesterday. Obviously, we did get this breakout. There was a story after hours that came out saying that they're expecting a profit boost. What a surprise. Please investigate that, JSE. When you see people putting a share up 5% like that on no news, and then you get the news after the bell. But either way, you can see we got the breakout. We talked about this level yesterday around 117. We finally got the breakout. I think there's a significantly higher target here in Foschini. If you look at Truworths, we also saw Truworths popping out of the top of some sort of resistance here. I think that we'd kind of topped out here around 76 quite a few sessions, at least on a closing basis. You can see we really ripped through that, and I think that we've got probably some sort of significant upside here in Truworths as well. I would say north of $80 we could get to in Truworths in the short term. All right, if you look at Telkom yesterday, we got a proper breakout here. Let's actually back it out. I don't know if I looked at this in a little bit longer term. Yeah, I mean, you can see here in Telkom, this is Foschini. I didn't think that looked right. Yeah, okay, so you can see here in Telkom, sorry, let me shorten this up a little. We've looked at this chart several times. We talked about the consolidation here. That was around $50. We finally got the break up through it yesterday. The only problem is that it probably reached our target in one move. I don't know if there's a whole lot of upside left in this thing, but just something to take a note of as these stocks the stocks continue to consolidate, break out. That pattern there. Very similar to the same sort of thing that happened here, and we just keep consolidating over and over these little flat lines of consolidation, and we break out, and every time we do break out, we seem to kind of pop higher. You can see there over and over after these little, multiple sessions at the same sort of price, you're unable to get a pullback, and then we move higher. So same sort of pattern, and Telkom's been playing out over and over. We get that pattern again. I think maybe it's worth having another look at. And then the last one we'll have a look at here is Imperial. Imperial, we've shown this one intermittently a few times. It's just never really given us the breakout. You can see here again we're pushing right up against trend resistance of this little flag or broadening formation or whatever you want to call this. But either way, you can see we're right at the number. We're right at 200. I think we need to push a little bit above 200, maybe to 2.5, 201 for us to get confirmation on a breakout. I would say 201 plus. And if we break out here, I think we've got a quick 15 rand or so of upside potentially in Imperial. And that's it for today, guys. Good luck out there.